It was tough out here today, but I'm looking forward to the race and taking another step towards future improvements.
One foot in front of the other.
3, 2, 1.
Slow and steady wins the race. That's how Maggie Montoya thinks of this journey forward after March 22nd, 2021.
It was a nice morning. I remember feeling like it was like when I did my run that morning.
Excitement faded once Maggie went in for her 10:30 shift. The pharmacy was in the height of giving COVID vaccine shots.
So I had been working the front windows for the first couple hours of my shift.
Her store manager alerted Maggie of an active shooter minutes later.
And then I yelled it out, running back and like letting my coworkers know. And then me and my boss at the pharmacy like went into one room, and the rest of the people in the pharmacy went to the back.
Montoya went from disbelief to shock after realizing this was real.
My boss was like near the door with a chair, like mom of 3, like ready to take on what was going to happen at any moment.
The two barricaded themselves behind metal doors while trying to disconnect phones that rang off the hook.
The biggest thing that felt like it was for sure what was going to do us in was the calls that kept coming in.
But there was another important call to make. The final, "I love you," not knowing if she'd ever say those words again.
Making that call to my parents and imagining the fear, like what they had been feeling.
What felt like an eternity lasted for nearly an hour.
Just the constant fear that it's going to end at any moment, especially when we heard him outside the pharmacy.
The gunman surrendered outside the pharmacy. When Maggie was finally allowed to leave, police escorted her and some co-workers out the front. They didn't know what they would see.
I'm being overwhelmed with the fact that not only did we see someone dead, but it was someone that we knew and someone that we talked to on a daily basis.
Go, Maggie. You got it.
This is Maggie Montoya, a year later, running to get back to normal.
I came back to running and trying to race competitively after the shooting.
Still reeling and still coping, but there's hope.
That these incidences don't keep happening. I know that they will, but I just really hope that it gets better.
While still taking baby steps through this recovery and promising the 10 lives will never be forgotten.
I hope for the sake of the families and everybody lost that it's never forgotten, because I don't want it to just be another shooting in the public's eye. I want it to be something that's no one wants to happen again in this community.
I'm Darius Johnson for 9 News.
Boy, Darius, I can't imagine what it's like to be in there and have to call your parents and say, you know, I may not make it out.
I think from the interview, that was the one part that choked me up the most, and that's the one part that she still reflects back on a year later, where she says it still makes her feel how vulnerable her parents may have been in that situation. And then they were watching TV, them to see some of the photos of her walking out of this store seeing their daughter survive, that's when they realized that she was okay. So to see all of that on TV and not to talk to her, it's definitely traumatizing for those parents.
Yeah, and that trauma has lasted a long time for her, I know. She's an Olympic hopeful, and she said that it affected her training along the way, too.
Yeah, you know, just talking about her progress after she walked right out of this store, months later, she was an Olympic hopeful. She had the mark for the trial. Weeks before the trial, she had a fracture. That fracture kept her from moving forward. So, you know, you easily look at situations like that, but since then, you know, that hasn't stopped her. She's continuously ran other races. She's also started back at the other King Soopers here in Boulder as a pharmacy tech. She wanted to be able to get back to an environment that was familiar and be able to do something that she loves. So it's a slow and steady race for Maggie, but she'll definitely get there one day.
Wish her the best, for sure. She seems like a really sweet person.